we're going to look at core engagement next. That's kind of the next piece that I want to discuss with you. And you've probably already seen my abdominal release video where I said about sucking in and how it's really bad for you. A lot of people mix up core engagement with sucking the abdominals in, and they are worlds apart. When you engage your abdominals or you engage your core muscles, you should still be able to breathe normally, and it shouldn't create that big that you get when you sucking your abdominals in. It's a really funny area, core engagement, because your abdominal muscles should engage naturally when they're needed to and with just the right amount of force. They're a reflexive muscle, so they should kick in when needed and then switch off when not. Now the problem is, for many people, we've messed up the neurology of our body, and our brain and our body doesn't talk to each other the way that it should do, and that's why things don't work particularly well. And I found myself in a lot of the, obviously you know that I'm a Pilates teacher and a yoga teacher. A lot of the courses I would go on and the classes I would do, my core didn't work the same as everybody else's, and I felt really bad about that, and I thought maybe it's just because I'm really weak and I'm just not very good, always about me, and I was really embarrassed that I couldn't do a lot of the things that other people could do easily, or I could do them, but I knew I wasn't doing them properly. I knew that I was compensating with my body and not doing things effectively. So, and the reason for that was that my core didn't engage reflexively. It didn't just switch on. I had to pre-recruit. I had to give my body the signal. I had to tell my core it needed to switch on and it needed to work, because if I just left it to switch on when it needed to, it didn't switch on. It didn't switch on, and instead I would bulge, so my belly would kind of pop out, or I would find that I was bearing down, so I could feel that the pressure was down on my pelvic floor, and I could feel that I was holding all of this pressure here. So I had to pre-recruit. It was the only way that my core was going to function. And now that I recognise that that was an issue that I was having, and I allowed myself to do that, and I allowed myself to think, okay, my core isn't working, I'm going to have to make it do it, it started to retrain that body-brain connection, and it does now reflexively recruit. So there is hope for all of us. Why was mine not working and other people's were? Who knows? I mean, I've had 2 cesarean sections, I've had abdominal surgery, I have endometriosis, I've had multiple laparoscopies, I've had amniocentesis, I've had a lot going on, and whether my pelvic area and abdominals were just so kind of traumatised that they just didn't want to know, who knows? But I don't want it to be a big thing for you where you think about having to recruit your abdominals, okay? Because for you, maybe your abdominals are going to switch on just fine. And if they don't, that's fine too. And then we are then going to work on pre-recruiting until your body then learns how to do it again the way that it should do. So, when you, let's start lying down. Let's lie down on our back. If you need a bolster, you need a cushion under your head, feel free to grab one. And we're going to have knees bent, feet are flat on the floor. Now I want you to find your hip bones and then just come in about an inch in towards the centre and down a little bit. So you're kind of in like a nice soft fleshy bit, and you're just going to gently press there just so that you can feel what's happening in there. I want you to take a really deep breath in, and then a long, slow exhale. Blow out through your mouth. Do that again. Really deep breath in, and a long, slow exhale. Blow out through your mouth. Keep going with that. And I want you to see if you notice anything happening under your fingers. Do you feel that your abdominal muscles are pulling away from your fingers? Are they sinking down as you exhale? Are they popping up as you exhale? Is anything happening there at all? And just see what you see, feel what you feel, and just be aware of what's happening in your own body. And we're not judging it, we're just noticing. So just a couple more times there. And then we're going to flip over onto all fours. So coming onto all fours. And again, we want to make sure that the heel of the hand is directly under the shoulders and the knees are directly under the hips. And then we're going to look down at the mat between our hands. And take a deep breath in. And as you exhale, you're going to blow all of the air out. Long and slow. You're going to do that again. Take a breath in. And as you exhale, you're going to blow long and slow. Do a couple more times there. So nothing's changing. You're not arching your back. You're not doing a cat-cow. There should be nothing really moving in your body. Put your awareness down to those deep low abdominals again that we were just working on, and notice, especially as you get to the end of your exhale. Just do a couple more there. See what you feel. So as you get to the end of your exhale, do you feel any movement in those deep low abdominals? Do you feel that those abdominals are having to contract to expel all of the air out? If you're not sure, go back and do a couple more. So you're looking to put your awareness into those abdominals to see if you can feel how when you get to the very end of your exhale, those abdominals switch on, they click on, they reflexively come on to do the work that is needed to expel that air. If you can't feel that, it doesn't matter. If you can feel it, great, just do a couple more. If you can't feel it, then we're going to pre-recruit. So we're going to get into the same position again. Make sure that your hands under shoulders, knees under hips. Okay. Deep breath in and blow the air out. And as you get to the very end of the exhale, you're going to think about lifting your belly button away from the mat. So pulling that belly button right at the end of the exhale. Inhale and let it go. So again, as you exhale, as you get to the end of the exhale, pull that belly button in and up. Do a couple more breaths there. So there should be no movement. You shouldn't have to move your pelvis, your back. It should just literally be your belly. Okay. And then just come on off your hands and your knees. So you can play around with that as much as you need to. When you get to the end of the exhale and you feel your abdominals drawing in, or if they don't draw in and you're drawing them in consciously, that is your deep low abdominals. That is your transverse abdominis muscles, which are the ones underneath the six-pack that support the pelvis, and they are our deep core muscles, and those are the guys that we really want to work on. Okay. So by keeping your body really still and not allowing your pelvis to tip or your back to move, it is those muscles that are working, because there's nothing else that can do that movement in that position. Okay, but if you were tilting your pelvis or moving your back, then your body would be compensating, it would be using something else. But if you keep everything still and you feel the abdominals drawing in, or you consciously pull the abdominals in, you're working those deep abdominal muscles. And we just need to keep playing with that movement. So when we were laying on the back at the start and we had our hands and we were feeling whether we could feel the abdominals drawing in and up, that's another way that you can practice it. And I really like to work with the core muscles and the breath to begin with, because we want them to work together. We do work on the exhale because it's on the exhale that our abdominals naturally contract. And that's something that we are going to work on together to really get that reflexive core muscle working again. And if yours is working already, then fantastic. But it never hurts to play with that and to strengthen that connection and put your awareness there. So when your core muscles contract, so when we're on all fours, when we're lying down, your pelvic floor is also doing the same thing because they are connected and they work together. So even if you can't feel your pelvic floor, as you exhale, right at the end of the exhale, when your abdominals draw in, your pelvic floor also lifts. It contracts, it shortens, and it lifts. When you inhale, the pelvic floor lengthens and releases. So with each breath, your pelvic floor is working too. And the pelvic floor is also a reflexive muscle. It should switch on when it's needed and relax when it's not. And like I said about the neurology of the core not working reflexively, that's often what happens with the pelvic floor as well. I think particularly after pregnancy, when your body just doesn't feel like your own and you've kind of got no idea what's going on, you've kind of lost all connection, that's when it's really useful to focus more on the pelvic floor and work on the breath work. And that is the one time that I do think that traditional pelvic floor exercises, or those Kegels, the tensing, is a good thing, but that's only to get that connection back again, for your brain and body to connect, to know where the pelvic floor is, and to just get that feeling and that sensation back again. Other than that, it's a reflexive muscle and we shouldn't need to train it, because every time your core muscles engage, the pelvic floor engages. So it should be working reflexively, and we're going to be working on all of the bits that we need to get that muscle working reflexively and to get it back to optimal health all the way through this program. So don't worry about trying to remember everything. It's just kind of giving you little bits of information as we go along. I don't expect you to know it all, and there's certainly not going to be a test on it, so don't worry about that.